War in Heaven. The War in Heaven is one of the oldest and worst events that happened in the Warhammer 40k universe. Basically, it's an event that shaped the entire universe and everything bad that's going to happen in it. It all starts with the Necron tier, a short-lived humanoid race that wanted to be immortal, and the Old Ones, a godlike, highly advanced species. The Necron tier were jealous of the Old Ones because of their longevity and the fact they were just better, so they had two choices: either pull their big boy pants up and suck it up, or fight for millions of years, destroying countless star systems and destroying the future of the universe. Naturally, they went with the second option. But in order to actually fight them, they had to somehow get stronger, which is where the Catan come in. They are basically star gods of immense power who offered the Necron tier immortality, and they got what they wanted. But they were also stripped of their bodies and placed into living metal bodies, becoming Necrons. The Necrons attacked the Old Ones with the help of the Catan. The Old Ones used the warp to create new species across the galaxy, like the Krork, early orcs, and the Eldari, Elder. That same warp became filled with constant emotion, death, and torment, eventually giving birth to the first three Chaos Gods, who later in the story would be responsible for a lot of, let's just say, bad things that were bound to happen. The Old Ones were driven nearly to extinction, and the Necrons realized the Catan were basically using them as tools. Eventually, the Necrons shatter them into shards, basically turning them into Pokemon cards, freeing themselves but staying soulless. So, if you're wondering why the galaxy in Warhammer 40k is a never-ending hellscape, yeah, you can blame the War in Heaven. It was basically the universe's pilot episode, and it got renewed for 60 million seasons of pain.
Blood for the blood god! Blood for the blood god! Blood for the blood god!
Extinction of Humanity. Extinction of Humanity is an event that happens in the game Ultrakill, and as its name suggests, it's the complete extinction of all human life. It starts with World War I, normal guns and trench warfare, but as the war progressed, humans started developing big-ass robots to fight for them. Like this guy, for example. His name is Gutterman. They were one of the first successful experiments in using blood as a fuel source. Yes, you heard that right. This thing ran on blood. And the craziest part? It actually carried a casket or something on its back, where alive humans would be placed, often without their consent, to basically be sponges of blood for the robot. The final and most devastating phase of the war started with the Earth Movers, which were weapons of mass destruction capable of destroying entire cities. At some point, the war got so bad that most of the Earth became uninhabitable, and survivors were forced to get on these things in order to survive. But as you probably already expected, that didn't help either, because all the debris that piled up from all the destruction actually blocked out the sun. That made the Earth Movers useless since they relied on solar energy to work. This event, also known as the Long Night, forced humans to actually work together, but it was already too late. Since Earth was completely destroyed after the war, humanity needed another way to get energy, which, for some weird reason, led them straight to Hell. Yes, after discovering that Hell actually exists, they set up mining facilities around it. Now, for an unknown reason, Hell became active. Probably because humans were mining energy from it, but hey, who knows? From here, all we know is that Hell's activation probably led to humanity's extinction, leaving behind only the machines built by humans. And of course, this GoPro-looking guy, V1. But we'll talk about him in another video.
And now all that remains is perfect hatred.
The Fall of Olympus. The Fall of Olympus is one of the most catastrophic events in the God of War universe, marking the end of the Greek pantheon. It all begins with this guy, Kratos, who was once a mortal Spartan, but, with the help of the Greek gods, gained the power to kill Ares and become the new god of war. Zeus, fearing that Kratos would overthrow him just as he had once overthrown Kronos, betrays and kills him. This act of paranoia ignites Kratos' unrelenting quest for vengeance. He had already been manipulated by the gods before, like when Ares tricked him into killing his own family. By the events of God of War 3, Kratos finally decides to lock in and give it his all to kill the gods of Greece, and anyone standing in his way, for that matter. Poseidon is the first god to fall, and with his death, the oceans flood the Greek world, drowning countless innocents. Hades is slain in his own realm, unleashing souls from the underworld into the mortal world. Helios is brutally killed, if you know you know, tearing the sun from the sky and shrouding the land in chaos. Hermes is cut down, and with him goes the world's safeguard against plague and pestilence. Each god's death shatters the balance of the natural order they embodied. Finally, Kratos confronts Zeus, his father, in a climactic battle that tears Olympus itself apart. The king of the gods is killed, but so is the very structure of divine authority. Without the Olympians to govern their domains, the world collapses into chaos, and humanity is left in a broken, dying world. Maybe if Zeus didn't avoid the father-son talk with Kratos, everything would have been different. Maybe.
Zeus, your son has returned! I bring the destruction of Olympus!
Third Impact. The Third Impact from Neon Genesis Evangelion is one of the most catastrophic and disturbing events in all of fiction. For years, both Zayla and Gendo Ikari had been working toward human instrumentality, the forced evolution of mankind into a single, united consciousness. But their goals weren't the same. Zayla wanted a way to erase individuality and suffering. Gendo, on the other hand, wanted to use instrumentality to reunite with his late wife, Yui. His son, 14-year-old Shinji Ikari, was manipulated by almost everyone around him from the start, and was essentially forced to pilot pilot Unit 01, a biomechanical weapon capable of fighting back against the Angels. The true trigger was Rei Ayanami. Gendo tried to make her the vessel for his plan, implanting Adam's embryo into her body and bringing her before Lilith, the Colossal being crucified deep beneath Nerve headquarters. But Rei rejected him and instead merged with Lilith on her own terms, creating the godlike entity Lilith Rei, whose presence initiated the third impact. Instantly, humanity began dissolving into LCL, the orange primordial liquid that has always symbolized the essence of life. In a way, humans were turned into one giant cosmic Fanta, with all consciousness merging into a single entity. Shinji Ikari, who wasn't affected by third impact because he was inside Unit 01, was left with a choice. Either let humanity remain as a collective without pain or suffering, but also without individuality, or restore the world to the way it was before. When Day Breaks. When Day Breaks is one of the darkest, most absolute apocalypse scenarios in the SCP universe. Unlike a war, a plague, or a monster attack, this event changes the very nature of the world itself. It begins quietly, with the sun suddenly emitting a strange, anomalous light. Anyone exposed to it undergoes a horrific metamorphosis. Flesh melts, eyes fuse, and skin hardens into a waxy, semi-liquid state. But do you want to know the worst part? Yep, the victims retain consciousness. They are aware of their agony and that of everyone around them, but utterly incapable of stopping themselves. These transformed humans, known simply as sun-changed, become predatory, consuming uninfected humans with a strange, compulsive hunger. Of course, the government and military are useless, and entire populations are transformed within days. I mean, seriously, how the hell are you supposed to escape a sun? In the end, basically all humans are either transformed into these things or killed by them. Unlike other SCP scenarios, this is global, inevitable, and irreversible. There is no containment procedure, no cure, and no safe zone. The destruction of Meridia. The destruction of Meridia stands as one of the most catastrophic and morally ambiguous operations in the history of Super-Earth. Meridia, once a thriving super colony, had become the epicenter of the Terminid plague. Despite numerous attempts to destroy the infestation, the Terminids had burrowed deep into the planet. By the way, Terminids, or also known as bugs, are these disgusting creatures that multiply very fast and use numbers to gain advantage against their enemy. In May 2184, Operation Enduring Peace was launched. The first phase involved securing a path to Meridia and establishing a staging ground. The second phase was deploying a substance known as dark fluid into the planet's crust. Dark fluid was originally an advanced technology and substance created by the Illuminate during the First Galactic War. It was designed to destabilize the planet's core, leading to its collapse. Helldivers were dispatched to Meridia to carry out this task. They faced overwhelming resistance from the Terminids, who had transformed the planet into a nightmarish landscape. Despite the odds and a lot of friendly fire, the Helldivers managed to inject the dark fluid into the planet's crust. On June 2nd, 2184, Meridia collapsed into a single point and vanished. The destruction of Meridia was technically a success. The Terminid infestation was stopped. However, we lost an entire planet along with countless lives, which weighed heavily on the conscience of Super-Earth. Oh, and of course, Super-Earth was spreading propaganda, claiming that the collapse of an entire solar system was necessary for the greater good.
How'd you like the taste of freedom?
The Order 66. Order 66 is one of the darkest, most shocking events in the Star Wars universe. It begins during the final days of the Clone Wars. The galaxy is in a conflict, with the Jedi leading the Grand Army of the Republic against the Separatists, but hidden within the ranks of the Clone Army is a secret, pre-programmed directive, Order 66, which is basically an order for all Jedi to be executed by their own soldiers. The Jedi High Council attempted to arrest Palpatine because they found out he was Darth Sidious. Palpatine used this failed attempt to paint the Jedi as traitors to the Republic and then issued the command to execute Order 66. And so it begins. Obi-Wan Kenobi barely survives an ambush on Utapau, where his battalion opens fire without warning. Yoda faces assassination attempts on Coruscant but manages to escape. Ki-Adi-Mundi is surrounded and gunned down on Megiddo by his own troops, and Plo Koon's starfighter is shot down mid-battle by the clones who fought alongside him for years. Palpatine pulls off the ultimate political speedrun by using the massacre he started to declare himself emperor, transforming the Republic into the Galactic Empire, and the clone army becomes loyal only to Palpatine.
Execute Order 66.
The Crossed Outbreak. The Crossed Outbreak is one of the darkest apocalyptic events in fiction, marking the instant collapse of civilization and the death of everything recognizable of humanity. It begins with the spread of a mysterious infection. Victims, called Crossed, develop a red, cross-shaped rash across their faces, a symbol of their transformation. But this isn't your casual zombie apocalypse with mindless, slow-ass zombies roaming around. Oh, no, no, no. These zombies, if you can even call them that, are intelligent, sexually obsessed monsters that can plan attacks and organize. Basically, they are normal humans humans with zero empathy or any morality left in them. The government, the army, or any other resistance you can think of were basically useless because all of them were overrun within days. The Crossed will humiliate, torture, and psychologically torment survivors. And those same survivors are sometimes forced to do, let's just say, insane things just to stay alive. So yeah, if your unlucky ass somehow gets stuck in this universe, honestly, I have no advice for you. You're just cooked.